Her wild hands bandied about as she spoke intensely and passionately about things I didn't understand. I knew that she knew what she was talking about because her hands moved so much. Sometimes it seemed as though she was using them to measure concepts on some sort of thought gradient. And other times, she seemed to have moved them randomly about her head. I feared for the antique vases next to her. If only I had known what she was talking about. We all nodded along, as to not let her in on the secret that these things she spoke of were flying over our heads, not unlike her hands flying over hers. I assumed no one else knew what she was talking about either. But what if they did? What if I was the only nibbish plebe who was unfazed by her brilliance? Or were we all too shy to ask questions, instead choosing to feign communicative responses in head movements and low grunting hmms and affirmative ahs? I check my watch. This woman has been wooing us for 20 minutes without a proper response. Maybe it was my fault. I never asked for clarification. But what was I to clarify? It seemed clarity was a distant road sign that I had passed and was too embarrassed to ask to go back. Every time I thought she was finishing in order to give space for a sustained reply, she would throw her hands up with some sort of caveat. I had too much time to think of myself, because I distinctly remember starting to feel anxious about my lack of courage. This type of introspection can only be achieved in moments of mental transience and solitude. Why was I thinking of my virtues and vices when I could have tried to catch up? If only she had mentioned an example or anecdote so that we could all respond too. But the dizzying ditherer was all too steeped in a theoretical discourse with herself to leave room for experience. I look around the room into the faces of those listening intently, dodging each grand point with a swing of her hands. One man was stroking his beard so much that it began to develop a bald patch. Finally, she stops. And not just for a breath this time. Another woman responds, "Interesting. I had never thought of it like that before." Evidently, neither did she.